Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of Japanese anime, endings are rarely about who wins the final battle. They're about who survives the truth. And in Attack on Titan, no ending carries more emotional weight than Mikasa Ackerman's. Her story doesn't conclude with power, glory, or conquest, it ends with a single, painful choice that changes everything. Mikasa's final choice is one of the most emotionally devastating moments in Japanese anime because it forces her to confront the one thing she has avoided her entire life, choosing between love and duty. From the moment Mikasa awakens her strength, her purpose feels clear: protect Eren at all costs. That purpose becomes her identity. In anime storytelling, characters often define themselves through a single bond, and for Mikasa, that bond is Eren. He is not just someone she loves, he is the reason she survived, the symbol of the life she chose when everything was taken from her. Letting go of him is not just losing a person, it is losing the meaning she built her entire existence around. What makes her final choice so powerful is that it is not sudden or impulsive. It is slow, painful, and full of hesitation. Mikasa spends the entire series proving her loyalty through action. She fights without question, moves without fear, and stands where others fall back. In many anime narratives, this kind of devotion would lead to a miraculous solution, where love saves everyone. But Attack on Titan deliberately rejects that fantasy. Instead, it asks a far more uncomfortable question: what happens when the person you love becomes the very thing you must stop? Duty, for Mikasa, is not abstract. It is not about ideology, politics, or destiny. It is about responsibility. As the world burns and the cost of Eren's actions becomes impossible to ignore, Mikasa realizes that loyalty without limits can become destruction. This realization does not erase her love. In fact, it deepens the pain. She understands that loving someone does not mean protecting them from consequences forever. In Japanese anime, this moment represents true maturity, the shift from instinctive attachment to conscious moral choice. The weight of her decision is heavy because it demands emotional sacrifice rather than physical strength. Mikasa has always been strong enough to fight titans. What she struggles with is fighting her own heart. Her final choice forces her to accept that doing the right thing may leave her completely alone. That fear connects directly to her childhood trauma. Losing Eren means reliving the moment she lost her parents, the moment when the world taught her that safety is temporary. Choosing duty over love means willingly stepping back into that emotional void. This is why Mikasa's choice feels so human. She does not act out of anger or betrayal. She acts out of acceptance. She accepts that the version of Eren she loved no longer exists, and that holding on to the past will only create more suffering. In anime symbolism, this is the moment where the hero releases their emotional anchor and stands on their own for the first time. Mikasa's strength here is not about combat, it is about restraint, clarity, and courage. Her decision also redefines what loyalty truly means. Loyalty is often portrayed as unwavering support no matter what. Mikasa's ending challenges that idea. It shows that real loyalty sometimes means stopping the person you love, even when it breaks your heart. By choosing duty, Mikasa proves that her love was never blind. It was real, deep, and honest, and that honesty is what allows her to make the hardest choice of all. Mikasa carries the full weight of that choice alone. There is no celebration, no reward, no reassurance that she did the right thing. And that is precisely why her ending resonates so deeply. It reminds us that the most powerful moments in Japanese anime are not about winning battles, but about the courage to choose responsibility over comfort, even when love is on the line. Mikasa's choice does not only change the fate of Eren or the outcome of the world, it completely reshapes who Mikasa is as a person. For most of her life, her identity is built around one core idea: protection. Protect Eren. Protect the people who gave her a reason to live. In anime storytelling, this kind of character often exists as a guardian, someone whose strength is defined by who they stand beside rather than who they are alone. Mikasa fits this role perfectly for much of Attack on Titan. Her power, her focus, even her emotional stability revolve around that single purpose. But the ending forces her into unfamiliar territory, existence without that anchor. When Mikasa realizes that her choice will separate her from Eren forever, she is not just losing someone she loves, she is losing the version of herself that lived for him. This is one of the most quietly terrifying aspects of her arc. Japanese anime often explores identity through loss, and Mikasa's ending uses that theme with brutal honesty. Who are you when the person you built your life around is gone? What remains when devotion is no longer an option? Unlike many anime characters who experience sudden transformations, Mikasa's change is subtle and internal. There is no dramatic speech, no declaration of independence. Instead, her evolution happens through silence and action. She chooses to act despite her pain, and in doing so, she proves that her strength was never dependent on Eren's presence. This realization is not empowering in a joyful sense, it is sobering. It tells her that she has always been capable of standing alone, even if she never wanted to. This shift also reframes her past loyalty. Looking back, her devotion was not a lack of agency, it was a survival strategy. As a traumatized child, Mikasa clung to the one constant that made the world feel bearable. That attachment kept her alive, but survival and living are not the same thing. By the end of the story, Mikasa understands that survival without growth can become a prison. Her choice is the first time she prioritizes her own moral compass over her emotional dependency. In Japanese anime, this kind of growth is often painful because it demands self-awareness. Mikasa must confront the uncomfortable truth that love alone cannot justify every action. She does not stop loving Eren, she stops letting that love define her entire existence. This distinction is crucial. Her choice is not rejection, it is separation. And separation, in anime symbolism, represents maturity. It is the moment a character steps out of another's shadow and accepts responsibility for their own path. What makes Mikasa's transformation so impactful is that it does not erase her grief. She carries it forward. After everything ends, she does not become free in the way Eren imagined freedom. Instead, she lives with memory, loss, and quiet endurance. This is a very Japanese approach to storytelling, where resolution is not about happiness but about acceptance. Mikasa survives, remembers, and continues. That continuation is her victory. Her identity after the ending is no longer built on protection alone. It is built on choice. She chooses to live. She chooses to remember without being consumed. She chooses to honor the past without being trapped by it. In doing so, Mikasa becomes more than the strongest soldier or the silent protector. She becomes a person who has faced the worst possible loss and still moves forward. Mikasa teaches a powerful lesson common in mature anime narratives. True strength is not found in who you fight for, but in who you become when that fight is over. Her choice changes everything, not because it saves the world in a heroic sense, but because it finally allows her to exist as herself. Mikasa's turning point is where her story reaches its deepest emotional and philosophical weight, the moment her loyalty collides head-on with morality. Throughout Attack on Titan, loyalty is treated as both a virtue and a danger. For Mikasa, loyalty has always been her compass. It guided her through chaos, gave her clarity in battle, and helped her survive a world that constantly tried to take everything from her. But when Eren's actions cross the line into mass destruction, Mikasa is forced to confront a truth she has avoided for most of her life: loyalty without limits can become destructive. In Japanese anime, this conflict is often portrayed as an internal war rather than an external one. Mikasa does not shout, rebel, or dramatically turn against Eren. Her struggle happens quietly, in the spaces between actions. She listens, she observes, she doubts. This silence is powerful because it reflects real human conflict. Many anime characters face enemies they can fight physically. Mikasa faces an enemy she loves, and that is far more terrifying. The idea that doing the right thing might require hurting the person who saved your life is one of the most emotionally brutal challenges a character can face. What makes this moment so significant is that Mikasa does not suddenly lose her feelings. She doesn't wake up free from attachment. Instead, she carries love and doubt at the same time. This duality is central to her character. In anime storytelling, moral growth often comes from embracing contradiction rather than escaping it. Mikasa's heart tells her to protect Eren. Her conscience tells her that protecting him may doom countless others. This is not a simple choice between good and evil, it is a choice between two unbearable outcomes. This internal conflict forces Mikasa to redefine what loyalty truly means. Until this point, loyalty meant proximity. Stay close, fight alongside, protect at all costs. But the story challenges her to consider a different definition: loyalty is responsibility. If you truly care about someone, are you obligated to stop them when they lose their way? This question lies at the heart of Mikasa's third keynote. Her struggle is not about betrayal, it is about accountability. And accountability is a far heavier burden than obedience. Japanese anime often treats morality as something earned through suffering. Mikasa does not arrive at her decision easily or quickly. Every step toward acceptance feels like betrayal to her own heart. This slow progression is intentional. It mirrors how real people process moral dilemmas. There is hesitation, denial, and fear of regret. Mikasa knows that once she acts, nothing can be undone. That permanence makes her choice even more painful. Another crucial aspect of this moment is that Mikasa stands alone. No one can make this decision for her. Not Armin, not Levi. This isolation reinforces the idea that true moral choices are deeply personal. In anime, characters often rely on speeches or guidance to find clarity. Mikasa finds hers in silence. She reaches a point where she understands that love does not grant immunity from consequences. Caring about someone does not mean allowing them to destroy the world. This realization does not make Mikasa cold or detached. On the contrary, it proves her emotional maturity. She accepts that doing what is right may permanently scar her. This willingness to carry emotional pain for the sake of others is one of the strongest expressions of courage in anime. It is easy to fight an enemy you hate. It is nearly impossible to act against someone you love. By choosing morality over blind loyalty, Mikasa breaks free from the role she has played since childhood. She is no longer just reacting to trauma or survival instinct. She is acting from conscious belief. This marks her transition from a survivor to a moral agent. In Japanese anime narratives, this shift often signals the true end of adolescence and the beginning of adulthood. Mikasa teaches us that loyalty must evolve to remain meaningful. When loyalty refuses to question itself, it becomes dangerous. But when it learns to balance love with responsibility, it becomes strength. Mikasa's choice does not erase her devotion, it transforms it into something heavier, braver, and far more human. The quiet, devastating kind that comes after the battle is already over. This is where her story truly ends, not with victory or celebration, but with emotional endurance. In Japanese anime, endings are often loud, a final enemy defeated, music swelling, the world saved. Mikasa's ending rejects that tradition. Her final transformation is internal. It's about learning how to live after making a choice that can never be undone. By this point in the story, Mikasa has already paid the highest emotional price. She has acted not as a soldier, not as a protector, but as a person who chose responsibility over desire. What follows is not relief, it is grief. And anime rarely treats grief this honestly. Mikasa does not collapse, scream, or beg for forgiveness from the universe. She survives. That survival is not triumphant. It is heavy, it is quiet, and it is deeply human. Acceptance, for Mikasa, does not mean forgetting Eren or justifying what happened. It means carrying love and loss at the same time without letting either destroy her. This is an incredibly mature theme in Japanese anime. Many characters are defined by letting go of the past completely. Mikasa does the opposite. She remembers. She honors what was real, even when it ended in tragedy. This ability to hold on to memory without being consumed by it is her final strength. One of the most powerful elements of Mikasa's ending is that she chooses to live. That might sound simple, but in anime storytelling, choosing life after trauma is often harder than sacrificing yourself. Mikasa could have disappeared into grief. She could have defined herself forever by what she lost. Instead, she continues forward. Not because the pain is gone, but because she accepts that pain is now part of her story. Survival becomes an act of courage rather than instinct. Her acceptance also represents independence. For the first time, Mikasa exists without being anchored to a single purpose. For most of her life, her identity revolved around protection. Protect Eren, protect her family, protect humanity. At the end, there is no clear mission left. This emptiness is terrifying, and anime often avoids it. Mikasa faces it directly. She learns who she is when there is nothing left to fight. That is her final evolution. This stage of her journey also redefines strength. Earlier, strength meant speed, precision, and combat mastery. Now, strength means emotional resilience. It means waking up every day with memories that hurt and choosing not to run from them. Japanese anime often highlights endurance as the highest form of power, and Mikasa embodies this perfectly. She doesn't erase the past. She lives alongside it. Another key aspect of Mikasa's acceptance is peace without closure. There are no perfect answers. No one fully wins. Eren is not redeemed, and Mikasa is not rewarded. This lack of neat resolution is intentional. It reflects reality more than fantasy. Some choices save the world but break the heart. Mikasa accepts this truth without demanding that the universe make it fair. That acceptance is what makes her ending so emotionally Powerful. Mikasa's final state is not happiness, it is balance. She learns that love does not disappear just because someone is gone, and grief does not disappear just because time moves forward. Both can exist together. In anime, this balance is rare and deeply meaningful. It shows growth that is not based on power escalation, but on emotional wisdom. Mikasa Ackerman's story closes not with a roar, but with a steady breath. She stands as proof that the most important choices do not always bring peace, they bring responsibility. And sometimes, the bravest thing a character can do is live with the weight of their decision and still choose to keep moving forward. As this story comes to a close, Mikasa Ackerman stands not as a symbol of victory, but as a symbol of truth. Her journey teaches us that the most powerful moments in Japanese anime are not always defined by who wins the final battle, but by who has the courage to make the hardest choice and live with it. Mikasa's strength was never just in her blades or her bloodline, it was in her ability to choose responsibility over desire, even when that choice shattered her heart. Through trauma, love, loyalty, and loss, she evolves from a protector driven by instinct into a woman guided by conscience. Her ending reminds us that growth does not always feel heroic. Sometimes it feels lonely, sometimes it feels heavy, and sometimes it means carrying love and grief at the same time without letting either control who you become. Mikasa shows us that true maturity is accepting that not all stories end happily, but they can still end meaningfully. In a world obsessed with freedom, power, and destiny, she represents something quieter and far rarer, the courage to do what is right, even when it costs everything. In the end, Mikasa Ackerman doesn't just survive the story of Attack on Titan, she completes it, proving that the strongest choice is not the one that saves your heart, but the one that saves the world.